So when we take the case of behavioral marketing, which is the idea, specifically right now with internet shopping, is companies track our browsing, our shopping activity within a site and store it for future use. And so we find this handy all the time. When we're on Amazon.com, we have alternative products suggested to us. If you're on a totally separate site from, say, Overstock.com, they might remember what you were looking at in Overstock and suggest something, a recent sale on that item or something similar. So we like this in a way because we use this a lot when we're doing shopping online, as just an example. And whether or not behavioral marketing has to invade our privacy, I would say no. It doesn't have to. It's more in the details of how someone conducts behavioral marketing. So the key would be that it benefits both me as a consumer and the firm or the company that's actually using the information. And as long as that relationship is strong, then behavioral marketing doesn't necessarily have to invade privacy. So does the information stay within the website? Does it stay within Amazon.com? Is there a limited amount of use that they're going to use the information? So is it only going to be used for suggestions of alternative products to use, suggestions on other sites that might be interesting to me? Or is it being used, for alternative purposes? Is it sold to other people? Is it shared to other sites? So that when I expect it to stay within Amazon.com, it's actually being sent other places. Now, that's not the case with Amazon.com. It was the case when Facebook's Beacon product first came out, a technology that was situated within sister partner sites and would track our behavior online and then would broadcast to my Facebook friends, to anyone else on Facebook, what I was purchasing, what I was looking at, and it would come out and say, Kirsten Martin is currently looking at this book, would you like to buy it as well? Now that, when it first came out, caused a lot of concern to people, rightly so. So that type of behavioral marketing clearly, in the eyes of the Facebook members, violated their privacy. They had an expectation that what I looked at on Amazon.com stayed on Amazon.com and that it wasn't going to leave Amazon.com, just as one example. So that type did violate the privacy of their users, but they made modifications where they were able to do the behavioral marketing and not violate the privacy. So behavioral marketing in general does not have to. It's more of the specific ways, the features that they use to implement behavioral marketing that would determine whether it invades privacy. So when we look at behavioral marketing, there are the features that would determine or help with privacy expectations. So it kind of facilitates so that it does not violate privacy. It would be things such as notification. So do you notify people when this is going to be occurring? Are you very explicit as to how the information is going to be used and in what way, who's going to see it, even within your site, or if you're going to share it with others? But second, if I don't want to have behavioral advertising, if I do not want to take part in the Facebook Beacon program, is the default that I'm involved in it, or is the default that I'm not? So the idea of, do you have to opt in? That's usually what we like. We like it when you have to say, look, I have this feature for you. You can opt in if you'd like it. That would seem to respect my decision-making prowess on the internet and say, look, you should decide to opt into this program. I'm not going to make it the default that you are a part of the Facebook Beacon program or any other behavioral marketing program. The problem that we find is when you have the opt-out option, which is the feature that you are, by default, using the Facebook Beacon program or behavioral marketing in general, and that you have to figure out as a consumer how to opt out of it. And that is difficult. It's very difficult to know when are you opting out of it. If people feel that they have a lack of trust by the fact that they have to opt out of it, so then they'll think, well, how will I know if I'm a part of these programs in the future? So the initial decision whether or not to have an opt-in or an opt-out setting impacts the privacy expectation, but it also, on an ongoing relationship with consumers, impacts their trust with that organization. And that, in some ways, is almost more damaging than the initial hit of the behavioral marketing, because we can figure out how to opt out with the internet nowadays. It's amazing how bloggers will figure out the actual source code needed to change someone else's program. So the Facebook Beacon program or behavioral marketing, there'll be some engineer somewhere that reverse engineers the program and figures out how to opt out of it. It doesn't take long, and they'll post it very quickly. And so how to get out of it and ends up being fixed relatively quickly. But the problem is the trust then. And then all of a sudden you think, do I trust Facebook with my information? And Facebook and all online companies rely upon us to trust them with our information. That's how social networking works. That's how Amazon.com works. That's how everyone works. They trust us to hold the information and not give it to anyone else. So when that trust goes away by these initial programs coming out, it can really damage the customer relationship.